Well, hey, it's Nancy, the nurse practitioner here. I'm hoping you're having a wonderful holiday, everybody. Merry Christmas to you all. I have a wonderful guest here with me. His name is Mark D. Tomaso. Did I say that right?
You got
Mark?
it.
Okay. And Mark found me on my YouTube channel, Caregiver Success, I guess a while ago, right, Mark? Um,
Probably about a year ago.
Oh my goodness, a year ago. And at that time, I had just re-edited my book, Caregiver Success Tips and Tools. It came out first in 2020 and during COVID, and somehow or other, God didn't want it to go anywhere because it didn't until I re-edited it and put a little spiritual spin in there. And so Mark found my book online. He actually posted a video, which I have on my site if you look under postings, and you can hear all about Mark's story of taking care of his mother, Gloria, a wonderful caregiving story that has come to a happy end, sort of. Saying goodbye to mom is never easy. But we're going to talk about a couple different segments of videos here. Mark has a lot of things to tell us, but there's a couple things we're going to start with. And some of the things that Mark has brought up and some topics we could discuss. And please put stuff in the comments bar because Mark and I can answer you on another time. I know this is not a live presentation, which might be another good idea. We could say, hey, you guys, if you want us to do the next one live, you could be on it with us and you could be asking questions
I
right
think
on it.
I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah, so we're gonna just get you guys used to our little story segments here, and we'll see where it takes us. So Mark, tell us about Gloria and how you got called to caregiving, and what made you find out that you had to take care of your mom. Tell us about mom.
Yeah, mom was she was a clinical social worker for 40 years, but
Hmm.
on top of it all, most importantly to her, she was a mom. Italian mom who loved her family. It was everything to her. Food was a close second.
Food, yeah. I'm
uh,
Italian. I know what you're talking about,
right?
Yes.
And some of her last meals were epic. I have a nice little story about that too. How much she appreciated everything up until the very end. But my caregiving journey with her lasted about 10 years, where things were touch and go. She fell and hit her, cracked her head. She developed an aneurysm and
Oh.
spent about 3 weeks in ICU 10 years ago.
Hmm.
My sisters came down, everybody gathered around. We were, you know, prepared for possibly the worst. But she has a heck of a will to live. Modern medicine is incredible. She recovered from that.
How
But that,
old was she then, Mark? How old was she?
yeah, that was she was about 80, 83, I believe,
Okay.
80, about 80, around 80.
Hmm.
Wow. So she lived to 93.
Uh-oh. There comes the first ring.
They want to know already. Um,
Hmm.
so she was still able to live on her own. Spent a lot of time with her, helping her recover. She was in, of course, a hospital or a recovery um, facility for a few weeks until she was ready to come home. Then, when she came home, um, we made sure she was able to manage by herself. My brother was living here at the time. He's not a caregiver. He has PTSD from his service, and but he was there just in case.
Yeah.
So we managed okay. We had a few hospital trips here and there, um, but for the most part, she lived on her own until about maybe 10 years ago, when we had to get her to give up the keys to the car. She would drive down the wrong side of the street.
Oh,
Uh,
wow. Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, she was very lucid. She was very sharp.
Mm-hmm.
The memory starts going. She had back pains. She tried to do too much. She tried to keep up with her younger self. and it became more and more apparent that she needed help because it became it happened more often that she would sprain her back or be out of commission. So gradually, it dawned on me that she's going to need real at-home care. Um,
Were you living there too? I'm gonna move this thing for a minute. I feel like I'm glowing. It's just me. I don't want to be glowing. Not yet, anyway. Were you living there when your brother was living there?
no,
Or
no, I
okay.
was close by, about 5 miles away, but I was able to maintain my profession, and I would come check on her maybe 4 or 5 times a week, and I
Would
lived
your
close
brother
enough.
call you and say, would you come see her? Something's going
Yeah,
on, or
or
kind
she
of thing?
would, or I
Okay.
just made it a habit that I knew something, I would be needed for something.
Yeah.
My brother wasn't always able to remember or convey it. Mom was determined to do as much as she could by herself.
Mhm.
So that was another consideration. I want to give her the autonomy, but I wanted to make sure she stayed safe too.
Did you have any home care services when she came out of the hospital each of those times, like a visiting nurse or
Yes. Yeah.
physical therapy and a home health aide? Okay, good. And they only last a little while under Medicare.
Yeah. And we relied on them a few times because there were
Mhm.
several hospital stays over the years. But
Right.
it became more and more apparent to me that she was better off with me because they would come when she was sleeping, and they would interrupt her cycle. They would push her too much to do, past her limits, and then we'd pay the consequence for that.
Oh, you
Uh,
mean the physical therapist?
the physical therapy, yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And
Hmm.
mom had that attitude where she would do anything, and she would do it right then. But then the next day, her back would be out. She'd be out, and it would make life pretty impossible for us. So, having been a massage therapist, I was able to provide pretty good physical therapy for her. And I'd been through physical therapy myself because I have back issues. And,
Did
that's
you get
another
a
thing.
social worker, caseworkers, anybody to help you with like the bigger picture down the road?
That was very difficult to get any real substantive help. They would always refer you to somebody. And it seemed
Wow.
like the services that were available were only available when you were in a very dire situation, like facing homelessness or like totally incapacitated. She wanted to know, is mom wandering off on her own? So
Yeah.
the resources are very sparse to begin with.
So you should tell them where you live, because that makes a difference to people all over the country. Like, where do people live?
Sure. Well, I live in Naples, Florida. It's a very wealthy community, Collier County. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually one of the wealthiest counties in the world, but their public services leave a lot to be desired. And
Hmm.
there's a lot of red tape. The public facilities, that's one of the major reasons that I decided to take her home and keep her here because the facilities are nice. In theory, you have trained professionals that are there 24/7. The
Hmm.
reality is, though, that she couldn't eat the food. She didn't have a shower in her own room. She had to go down the hall, shared a
Uh-huh.
room, a 20 by 15 room with another person, separated only by a curtain. There's no privacy. It's
Uh-huh.
just a whole strain on her, and
Hmm.
maybe on most people. Maybe some adapted better. But mom knew she could be at home, and she wasn't afraid to manipulate a little bit to get her point across. And it ended
She
up
was
being,
a strong Italian lady. She
oh
was
man, I'm telling you, she has some.
okay. Okay, so she really had I'll say chutzpah, although that's Jewish,
No,
but
it's
she
very,
had
very appropriate there.
it.
New York Italians and Jewish people, lovingly, they have a lot in common. And I just admire it so much. I learned so much from her, and I hope that I carry that strength into my old age when I'm facing those final years that she did. So she's,
So I get your story because as a house calls person, and I took care of a lot of people who were in homebound. There was, the back and forth. Well, a lot of my patients didn't land up in the hospital. They landed up staying home because they would say, Nancy, would you come and see her right away? She's got a gash in her leg. And I'm like, okay, what happened? I'd give her a tetanus shot. And we would, as long as it wasn't anything serious, it would be something we could attend to there. because I knew what it did to people going to the hospital, the emergency room, the change of scenery. They've become home kind of backwards a little bit as far as mentally how they felt about like, whoa, what just happened to me? I was not in this space for a week, and now I'm in my own home. It is so wonderful to be home with your parent, but I will say caregiving is tough, isn't it? It's a tough job, especially if you don't have networks. Did you find that you had any help when you
Oh, I
got
had some
home?
resources as far as support, emotional support from my friends and family that know me and that knew my mother. Even
Okay.
though it was mostly phone calls,
Phone
that's
calls,
very
yeah,
important. My brother wasn't able to give the physical care, but we
yeah,
come by and visit and give emotional support that way. But
yeah.
he had uh, trouble dealing with the trauma, watching her deteriorate and seeing
Mm.
this beautiful, strong, figure that you looked up to and listened to for advice or whatever, diminish and see that, it's kind of like having a baby. Many people say that. The difference is, though, when you're having a baby, it's a beautiful thing. You go through it, you know that they're going to grow into a more capable.
Independent person, yeah,
Right. And that when they're at the end stages, they become more dependent. You
yeah.
you feel for them so much, and you just ache to take away their pain, and that's what ends up giving me the strength to do it. Now, I mentioned in my video, I wish I would have found your book earlier, and
Hmm.
I and I do, and I'm urging everybody who may watch this video, buy the book. I got, I think, to page 25 before I had received what I really needed to give me strength to go forward. That page 25, I still have it memorized. It was about taking care of the caregiver.
Okay. Yes. And I do want to say if anybody's interested in the book, it's on, don't go to Amazon. It's going to cost you too much money. Go to www.nancythenp.com and it's a lot cheaper and easier. And it also is in an ebook on Kindle. So you could get that as well. I think it's $3.99. I have started to read the book. I did do one read as a posting on my YouTube channel on what does compassion mean. I will tell you that's on page 11 as the most important page I added to this book. And Mark, you of all people I've met, I feel your compassion coming through the screen and your love for your mom and your selflessness that you did for her. And that I think people need to come to the realization that maybe they're not meant to be a caregiver. That goes for medical people. That goes for surgeons. That goes for home health aides. Anybody who's going to take care of somebody. There's a difference between empathy and compassion. And, with compassion, there's action to your empathy. You want to take away the pain. You want to take away the bed sore. You want to prevent falling. But empathy just means, wow, I feel bad for you, but there's no action to it. So you got to have compassion. And it has come to my attention talking to many schools of nursing and home health agencies that they're finding that the students, many of them are not in that place. They feel like they're going to make a lot of money and they're going to have a lifetime career, but it's not a calling and they're not in it for any other reason. And I am worried about those people. I will pray for them because they are getting through all these classes and schoolwork. But I think the course number one should be, are you meant to be taking care of somebody?
Yeah.
And people should say, I'm not. I'm not. I'm going to go become a plumber because I love working with tubes and stuff, and I can't do vessels and veins because that might be less of a people thing. Or, you know what I'm saying? There's so many other things people could do, but I wish people would stop and think about that. And that also goes for like your family members, right? Am I meant to take care of mom? I had one patient whose her mother and her just were butting heads, and I watched the daughter lose weight, and run out of the room and shut the door and say, you visit with her. And she wanted like 10 minutes to herself.
Yeah.
And then one day I sat down with her and I said, is this really a hard job for you? Because I called it a job. And she says, this is the worst job I've ever had. I cannot do this. And
Well,
you know,
if you don't have the support, you're playing with fire and standing in the middle of that fire, and it's
support is good. But if you're there 24/7 though, and there's nobody coming in to say, you go out to dinner with your friends, I'll stay with mom, you could get burned out pretty quick.
that was a
Hmm.
signature of my situation, unfortunately, and
Well, don't you think that's like the first thing you should see that you could get a social worker, but they come for a little bit of time and then they leave and they give you like a caregiving support group. But how do you go to that if who's staying with mom, and she can't be alone? Did you find a support group when you were doing this or?
and no, not really.
Okay.
Like you just mentioned, the time it takes to go there to sit with people, it's like maybe 3 hours.
Yeah.
And that 3 hours is a critical amount of time. She gets stuck, not being able to get up out of her chair. What do you do in that case? Or,
Yeah.
even in bed, something could happen. So the resources are nice if you can avail yourself of them. But, um, you know, what you were saying about doing that inventory to see if you're or are able or cut out to do caregiving, knowing what is in store for you is a big part of making that decision. And then to be realistic enough to forgive yourself if you're not.
Yes, that's a big point. Like it's okay. Like part of it is like giving the person grace to say, it's okay. Bring her flowers to the nursing home. Visit her every day for lunch or something. Make yourself feel like there's something you can do so you don't have regret, but
Yeah.
you couldn't take care of her. And that's not for everybody. And it could go on for years and years and years too. And then what's the plan? And it's not that it's just you're getting older too. And are you getting your medical care? I found there were a lot of people that were not getting even a haircut.
Yeah.
Um, they lost their identity, they lost their job, they
It's
lost their income.
very real.
Uh, and it's a very that's why I love doing it, going into the home. I would wear special funny clothes, or it was like a social visit for the mom, the person, and also the caregiver. And then we would get down into the weeds, like what's going on the last week? What do we need to fix? How can I fix this with you? And go ahead. I'm sorry. It's like that was important, you
Oh,
know.
it's very important. You know, I had a little bit of a background in massage therapy. That's practically nothing when it comes to caregiving. The intention is there, the basic understanding is there, keeping people comfortable, being aware of their needs. That's pretty much the crux of it. But how deep and how insightful are you, and how attentive, and can you do it with, with a smile on your face so that the patient doesn't feel resentful or that they're burdening you? And that's, how could you not feel that way when you're dependent on somebody for almost everything, for cooking, for cleaning, for bathing, hygiene,
So
all
how
these.
did you keep your identity while those years of watching and helping mom until she passed away? How did you keep your identity?
I I uh, I used my imagination. I
Oh,
I uh, I looked at the situation realistically and came to terms with what I was in for. And one of my biggest motivations was being able to survive this and leave a legacy for my daughter, be a role model for my daughter, and be there for my daughter. Because when this started, she was 15 years old.
oh wow.
Now she's 26. So the last 10 years of her life, 11 years, she's spent a lot of time in and out of the hospital, seeing me, worrying about mom. And she was so close with my mother that gave me extra strength to go through it, to figure out a way to recoup. Plus, I've been meditating for 30 years, and
Oh,
I did massage, and I'm very aware of what we tell ourselves, how we process our feelings. So that gave me, and I developed it over the years, you know.
It's like a muscle. You have to use it and you have
Yeah,
to, meditation's wonderful. It's like prayer, it's, you just have to be still, Did you find yourself able to find time to just be still? Because I have a
yeah,
hard time with that because I'm a type A. I'm like, gotta do
yeah.
100
There's
things today.
two different helpful types of meditation that I know of: active and passive meditation. So I learned transcendental meditation, which is a passive meditation, 30 years ago or more,
Hmm.
35 years ago. Jeez. And so active meditation is more like prayer when you're conscious and you're thinking about how to resolve or to receive messages. And that's important too. I do both, but I always allow my time, and I conditioned myself through massage to be able to kind of empty my mind and get to this space between thoughts.
So do you do that in the morning before you go into mom's room, like to put yourself in a zone?
I
Or
started
when?
getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning so I
Whoa.
could have a few hours of
Okay.
alone time, meditation time,
That's
time
wonderful.
just to have a little quiet. Because when she woke up, boom, she turned the TV on it, blasting, because she couldn't hear. And I could hear it all the way through the house.
So you
So,
didn't have any peace, like that peace was over because
right.
the noise starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like I would say doctors go through a year's worth of an internship. This was several years where you just have to find a way to make do and be there when you're needed, to find the sleep when you're needed. And you learn those things. You sleep when they nap, you learn to get your rest that way, much like when you're a parent. Uh,
Yeah. Now, I know there's something that we need to bring up before I know we're going to get close very soon in about 15 minutes, but I know that there's some work that you've been doing, and maybe you want to introduce everyone to that so that they'll come to more of our videos as we get into that as well. Do you want to talk about the
sure.
program you developed and
Yes, I developed a methodology called I call it the XSOS, Save Our Ship, Save Our Souls, System of Systems, Square of Squares. It is a way of examining the whole situation, your emotional state, your mental state, really getting a clear understanding of where you are to find out what you need to fix, what's not right, something's not working here. So it's an, it started out as an assessment, kind of a clinical assessment, but it's built on 5 pillars: your physical, your mental, or physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and legacy. So I look at my life. What am I going to do? I projected myself to the end of my life, and I looked back at this situation, this time in my life, and I said, how am I going to want to remember how I acted during this time? Do I want to be reactionary and I deserve to have all this anger and I deserve, or do I want to find a way to synthesize all this stuff, come to terms with it, and be of service? So the X-ray of the Spirit is the book I wrote, and then I developed a methodology from that where you basically assess your state. Are you in a state of panic? What do I need to do to get safe? Physical and emotional safety. Physical
wow.
first. Second is your thinking. Can I calm down and regulate my heart rate? Learn to breathe. Do certain things to get back into your body. Be in charge of your body. And then once you can feel where you are, you can imagine where you want to be. You have a better idea. All right, I really want to calm myself down now. This is a terrible situation, but is it as terrible as I'm making it? Can I look at it differently? Rewire.
Wow, when did you write this book?
Huh.
Did you do this while you were taking care of mom and she was sleeping, or
Yeah,
you were thinking of it along the way, like we all do? We have this in our head for years in a box, and
a
then
little bit of both. It developed, and I knew I was onto something, but about 3 months before mom passed, they finally gave us a respite at hospice for 5 days.
Hmm.
So the social workers knew that I needed it terribly. I finally became available. We put mom in there. She needed the rest. She knew that I needed the rest.
Hmm.
So for the first 3 days, I just laid in bed and slept. I
Yeah.
just slept uh, or rested. I still have auditory hallucinations of her calling me out, and it really. But after those 3 days, I spent the next 2 days putting together all my notes and writing my book with the help of AI. So that made it helped me organize things and make it understandable. But it was my story, it was my material that I loaded in little by little
Yeah.
until I was ready to work on it. So in a matter of just a couple of days, I did a forensic analysis on myself.
Whoa.
Yeah. And to find out, how am I coping? How am I still doing this? And what are my patterns? So I looked at my patterns, and then, you work with them a little bit to make them universal. And I used to teach, martial arts, and I have some background in teaching and understanding people's responses. And,
Mhm.
more than I have a friend who's a black belt teacher who's a real expert. So I study these people, and I studied what mom taught me about visualization and coming to terms with your situation, and then visualizing a better situation, stepping into it, make it happen. So it's a methodology, and in the workbook, it's only 100 pages. You could assess where you are. It takes all 10 domains of your life, from your physical, mental, spiritual health to your
Do you have the
financial.
book there? Do you have the book there?
I don't have it here. It's on Facebook. I gave away all my copies. I ordered some more, but
Okay.
you
So
know,
where does everybody find this book, X-Ray of the Spirit? You said it's on,
on
we have 10
Amazon.
minutes left, by the way, on Amazon.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And it's called X-Ray of the Spirit by Mark.
D
And how do
Tomaso.
you spell your name so they can have it? D-E.
D capital Tomaso. All
Perfect.
together, no spaces.
Okay, so you guys all have to look at that because, part of this is, my book covers a lot of information about, well, the first chapter starts at things like what safety tips, how to get connected, how to find a good aid, making plans, ageism, the bedridden patient, how to take care of them, how to look your best every day, take pets, therapy, mouth care, money matters, how to take vital signs, how to take care of your equipment, tornado tips. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here.
That book is so comprehensive and extensive. That's why
Thank you.
anybody who's taking care of it. Luckily, I didn't need any of that medical knowledge, thankfully, how to use a lift, how to do this or that. Mom was very self. I cleaned the potty. I had a pitcher of Clorox and water so that it would mitigate all these little things.
There's a lot of things, I got a lot of this stuff in this book from the Mayo Clinic because I love the Mayo Clinic. I mean, I don't tell people don't go to Dr. Google. It just takes you to like so many things you don't want to know. And then it gets you in this angst. So start with simple. I always tell people it's the squirrel in the woods, not the zebras. You got to go there first. And I think that's very important to know. I mean, I'm hoping that this book will remain in a place such as not getting defunct or old. In other words, I didn't put any biologics or later drugs or anything in there. I put the good old Lasixes out there because that's what still is tried and true and it's still out there. But of course, there's going to be new meds and there's going to be new things. But the bet incontinence is incontinence,
Right, right, right.
and
Those
how to.
peripheral things may change, but the core of what your book is about is so, I mean, it should
Uh,
be in schools, in universities. I gave it to the nurses at hospice. I said, and one of them said, I think we read this. So,
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I know we only have a few
lifesaver.
more minutes left. Is there something, and you guys, do you see what's happened here? You take some situation you're in and you turn it around for the rest of your life. Like your mom did pass, and we're going to go into the segments of Gloria, as we said, and we're going to be talking about a lot of things: grief, family dynamics, the spiritual rewards. This is going to be a great hangout with Mark here as we just have like a forum here. I think what we might try to do is do a live one next time, and this way maybe people can come on and ask questions.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
if you want to get my book, again, it's at nancythenp.com. If you want to get Mark's book, it's on Amazon, X-Ray of the Spirit. And I'm so happy that I met you, Mark. You reached out to me and I'm like, oh boy, this is great. Because I
Oh,
know there's people out there, but they're not necessarily talking to me as much as I wish they would.
and you were so receptive, and I just appreciate that so much because it's more than helpful. It really did give me the strength to continue. I was ready to give up. I was like, how can I keep going? Is he going to be her or me? And she was picking up on that too.
Yeah.
But it's just a little bit of information can change your mindset and change your reality. So thank you.
Yeah, so thanks everyone for joining us. And our segment number two is going to be on the realities and risks, which is, whoa, that's heavy. Do you want to say anything else, Mark?
I want to have one more thing. I sent you
Okay.
an assessment, a caregiving readiness assessment,
Okay.
maybe 20 pages, that gets right to the heart of these critical things that we talked about. So you're more than welcome to post it and give it away to your viewers.
Okay, I will
And we'll
do
talk
that.
more about the X-ray of the spirit and the family end of life family system that I developed from that too. But first things first.
Okay. Hey,
You're the
well,
best.
thank you so much, Mark. And God bless. And talk to you all real soon to the next video. And let me know if you have any other questions or concerns or anything you want to hear from us till our next video. Have a wonderful, happy, healthy New Year.
Yeah.
Peace,
Merry
peace,
Christmas.
and Merry Christmas.
Take
Bye,
care.
Mark.
Bye
Take
now.
care, everyone.
Love you.